Breaking news. Serious questions are rising out of Las Vegas, and this one hits the heart of the Raiders' future. Two key players, Colton Miller and Jakobi Meyers, may not be part of the team's long-term plans. Shocking, right? This is not just speculation. A respected voice close to the team believes the Raiders could walk away without extending either one this offseason. But why? And what does this mean for the Silver and Black's rebuild? Before we dive into the full story, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss an update on your Las Vegas Raiders. This is your home for real, raw, and fast Raiders coverage. Now let's get into the latest. According to a recent report by Vincent Bonsignore of the Las Vegas Review-Journal, the Raiders are not expected to extend Colton Miller this offseason. Yes, the same Miller who's been the foundation of the offensive line since 2018. Despite a slow start last season, partly due to shoulder surgery, Colton bounced back and delivered his usual top-tier performance. And let's not forget, this is a guy who's publicly said he wants to be a Raider for life. But here's the twist. The front office is reportedly open to re-signing him, only at the right price. Now, pause and think about that. Your franchise left tackle, a loyal vet, a vocal leader, might not be locked in. That raises serious concerns about how committed this team is to protecting the quarterback and building a strong offense. Let's be real. If the Raiders want to keep Colton Miller, they'll have to pay him like a top-tier left tackle. That means somewhere in the ballpark of $20 million per year, and that's just the starting point. One of the closest comparisons is Dion Dawkins, a veteran lineman who landed a strong extension in his early 30s. Colton's age, talent, and leadership put him in a very similar tier. But here's the catch. According to Vincent Bonsignore, the gap between what Miller wants and what the Raiders are willing to offer is still too wide. That's the biggest reason no extension has been finalized. Now, let's break that down. The Raiders want a fair deal. Miller wants to feel valued, not just with words, but with dollars. He's made it clear. He wants to be part of the long-term plan, but only if the team shows he's truly a priority. And then there's a new wrinkle. Charles Grant. The rookie left tackle impressed during off-season workouts, especially at OTAs and minicamp. The coaching staff likes him, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Grant had a standout season at William & Mary, earning a 91.2 PFF grade, the best among draft-eligible tackles. But that's college. The NFL is a different battlefield. Behind the scenes, Raiders insiders say Grant still needs time to develop. He's raw, talented, yes, but not yet ready to take over a critical position that protects your quarterback's blind side. And that's where things get risky. If the front office is thinking about handing the keys to Grant as early as 2026, they're gambling. A rushed promotion could backfire, just like we saw in the past with Brandon Parker. And no one wants to repeat that mistake. So here's the reality the Raiders are facing. Colton Miller wants to stay, but not on a discount. The front office sees potential in a young replacement, but he's not ready yet. And with Geno Smith behind center, stability on the offensive line isn't just helpful. It's essential. This decision could shape the Raiders' offense for years to come. The Raiders are pressing pause on Colton Miller's extension. According to him, the team plans to evaluate Miller's performance under new offensive coordinator Chip Kelly and offensive line coach Brennan Carroll, yes, Pete Carroll's son, before making any big-money decisions. Here's the likely scenario. If Miller thrives in this new system, the Raiders may lock him in with a deal worth $20 to $23 million per year. If not, they could hand the job to rookie Charles Grant, who's still on a cost-effective rookie deal. That's the fork in the road. And honestly, that mindset feels risky. Too risky. Let's be honest. You're trying to build a competitive offense around Geno Smith. You've already shown confidence in Geno by giving him a 2-year extension before he played a single down in silver and black. But now you're hesitating to commit to the man protecting Geno's blind side? And you're also delaying a decision on Jakobi Meyers, your top receiver. That's a strange strategy for a team that claims to be building for the future. How can you build anything solid if you're unsure about the two players who anchor your protection and your passing game? This shouldn't be a debate. The Raiders need to extend Colton Miller, and they need to do it now. We're talking about a consistent performer, a locker room leader, and a tackle who still plays at a high level in a position that's incredibly hard to replace. Waiting around while hoping a rookie magically develops overnight isn't a plan. It's a gamble. And if the Raiders are serious about winning, not just someday, but right now, they need to protect their investment in Geno Smith. Colton Miller is the first step in doing that. Colton Miller is still one of the best left tackles in the NFL. From Week 6 through Week 18 last season, he gave up just 1 sack. That's elite production, plain and simple. And if you just traded for Geno Smith, a quarterback who struggled for years behind weak offensive lines in Seattle, how do you justify not locking in the guy who's protecting his blind side? It makes no sense. But this is about more than stats. Colton Miller isn't just a top-tier tackle. He's one of the very few star players who has proudly said, "I want to be a Raider for life." That kind of loyalty is rare in the NFL. You don't ignore it, you reward it. He showed up for non-mandatory workouts this offseason. He's been a team captain, a leader in the locker room, and someone young players naturally look up to. And what message does it send to the rest of the roster if you don't take care of a guy like that? You're basically saying, it doesn't matter how committed you are. It doesn't matter how hard you work when no one's watching. You still might not get paid. That's not the mindset of a winning culture. That's how you lose the locker room. And the idea that the Raiders can't afford him? That's just not true. The team currently has top 10 cap space in the league, north of $30 million available. There's money. There's opportunity. And there's a left tackle who's still in his prime at 29 years old. He's healthy, he's proven, and he fits the timeline. Let's talk about that timeline for a second. If the Raiders truly believe they're building toward a deep playoff push by 2027 or 2028, then Colton Miller should be part of that plan. A reliable left tackle in his early 30s is not a liability. He's an asset. So, again, what are we waiting for? If you believe in Geno Smith enough to extend him before he's even taken a snap, how do you hesitate on the guy who's supposed to keep him upright? The logic doesn't add up. The urgency isn't there. And, frankly, it should be. It's time to stop delaying. It's time to get the deal done. When I said earlier there were concerning rumors circling around the Raiders, this is exactly what I meant. If the team is seriously planning to delay contract extensions for both Colton Miller and Jakobi Meyers, that raises real questions about the front office's direction. Because so far this offseason, the moves have looked calculated, deliberate, even smart. But refusing to commit to 2 of your most important offensive players, that doesn't match the vision they've been selling. Let's focus on Jakobi Meyers for a moment. He's 28 years old, just came off a career-best season, and finally cracked the 1,000-yard mark, despite playing with a rotating cast of quarterbacks and a disjointed offensive system. He still hauled in 87 receptions, topped 1,000 yards, and scored 4 touchdowns, all without consistent quarterback play. Put simply, Meyers produced elite-level numbers in a below-average offense. Now imagine what he could do with Geno Smith, a more stable, experienced quarterback under center. This isn't just speculation. Meyers has already proven his value. He's one of the most reliable route runners in the league. You may argue if he's top 20, but there's no question he's top 30. And when you look at his hands, near perfect. Some outlets say he didn't drop a single pass last season. Now, here's where it gets cloudy. Vincent Bonsignore reports that the Raiders may wait until next offseason to extend Meyers, even though they know he's a good fit with Geno and a core piece of the offense. Instead, they're hedging their bets by adding depth through the draft. Names like Jack Beck, Dante Thornton Jr., and Tommy Mellott, plus Trey Tucker, who's been taking steps forward. So maybe the front office believes they're building a strong enough wide receiver room to survive without Meyers. Maybe they think the young guys can step in and deliver. But here's the problem. If you truly believe in Jakobi Meyers, And if you're building to win now, like the team keeps saying, then why not lock in one of your most dependable offensive weapons now, not later? Delaying the decision only creates more uncertainty. And if you're banking on rookies and unproven names to carry your passing attack in the future, you're taking a huge gamble. That's the inconsistency in the Raiders' logic. And it's what makes this situation hard to accept. Keeping Jakobi Meyers likely means paying him $17 to $18 million per year. And frankly, that's a fair deal. You're talking about a reliable, smart, high-character wide receiver entering his prime. Give him a 3-year deal worth around $58 million, maybe $35 million guaranteed. And you've got yourself a rock-solid partner for Geno Smith. But here's where it gets interesting. If the Raiders wait until next offseason, they're probably going to end up paying more. My original projection: a 2-year extension worth $40 million, fully guaranteed. That actually comes out to $18.3 million per year when you average it across his current deal, which still puts him in the 22nd highest paid receiver range. That's great value right now, and a steal 2 years from now as the market continues to rise. So the question is, why wait? Why gamble? If your plan is to build around Geno Smith, why wouldn't you also commit to his most dependable weapon? Vincent Bonsignore suggests tying Meyers to Geno long-term, but there's a flaw in that idea. Geno already has 3 years on his contract. If you wait until next offseason to extend Meyers, then he'll have 3 years, and Geno will only have 2 left. That's not how you build offensive chemistry. If you want continuity, lock them both in together now, give them the same timeline, let them grow together, and honestly, let's stop acting like Meyers hasn't earned it. This guy was voted the most underrated wide receiver in the NFL by other players, not fans, not analysts, his peers. Here's a stat that should raise some eyebrows. Jakobi Meyers has more catches than DK Metcalf and Mike Evans over the last 4 seasons. Let that sink in. We're talking about the 17th most catches in the entire NFL over that stretch. And he's done it with some of the worst quarterback play you can imagine. Jimmy Garoppolo, Jarrett Stidham, Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, Desmond Ridder. Yet through all that inconsistency, Jakobi never folded, never complained, never missed a beat. This is a receiver who shows up, does the dirty work, and doesn't need the spotlight to shine. He's not the diva wideout demanding attention or skipping practice. He's the exact opposite, and that matters, especially in today's NFL, where wide receiver rooms are filled with egos and noise. Meyers brings calm, focus, and grit. If you're building a run-heavy offense that values discipline and teamwork, he's exactly the type of receiver you need. So let's be honest with ourselves. You can roll the dice on unproven names like Jack Beck or Dante Thornton Jr. Or you can invest in someone who's proven it, again and again. Jakobi Meyers isn't just a smart signing. He's the kind of player that good franchises don't let walk away. Jakobi Meyers is 28 years old, right in his prime. He fits perfectly with where the Raiders are headed, not just for the next year or two, but for the next 3, 4, even 5 seasons. And just like Colton Miller, waiting until next offseason to lock him in is a mistake that could come back to haunt this team. Why? Because when good players hit the open market, they get expensive.